Thanks for participating, and let's get into the presentation. All right, yeah, here's the map I was trying to show before. Essentially, in the northeastern United States is where the Appalachian Mountains begin. They go to the south central US, and Cincinnati is located here right off of the mountains. So it's got rolling hills, forests, parks, that sort of thing in the city. So it's a combination of all three. And then as far as north to south, it's about halfway down. So halfway cold weather, halfway hot weather, right in the middle. All right, let's get into it. So, from the beginning, welcome to the University of Cincinnati Fall 2026 Admissions Preview. In this presentation, we will discuss a number of topics. We'll go through how to create an application, scholarships, what is the University of Cincinnati like, what is the city of Cincinnati like, what options do we have for our students, support services, what organizations there are here, and you'll have the chance to ask any questions you might have at the end. Introducing our team, we are led by Hannah Gurman. She works with territories shown on the screen here, mostly in the Middle East and North Africa, and a lot of Asia as well, outside of Southern Asia. I work predominantly with Latin America and the Caribbean. My name's Seth Higginbotham. We have two other staff in Cincinnati, Lynn Hickerud, who works with international students within the US, and then some of the Anglosphere, the Anglo-speaking countries, and then Zion Simpson, who works with Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. We also have several other admissions team members, Tan Nguyen, who is located in Ho Chi Minh City. She works with our Vietnamese student population. Grace, who's located in Beijing and works with our Chinese student population. And then Sanjay and Gitanjali, who are located in Mumbai and Delhi, respectively. These folks are going to be your advocates. So not only are they going to help answer your questions, but they're going to advocate for you to advance throughout the admissions process, to get into your major, perhaps to get better scholarships. So it's very important that you recognize who your main contact here is at the University of Cincinnati. Take a note of it. You'll be able to reach out to them at any point during your application cycle. A little bit about myself and my own background. I did study at the University of Cincinnati. I graduated with a degree in aerospace engineering, so I can talk a lot about that program specifically, and engineering in general as well. I'm currently doing my master's in political science, and someday in the future, I hope to join the Foreign Service, and which is essentially the diplomacy team for the United States, as I think that there is room for improvement in American diplomacy at the moment. All right, let's get into it. We do have international student ambassadors on our team as well. One of us should be joining us here in the next few minutes, Miguel Garcia. But we have international student ambassadors from across the world. We have Avery coming from Beijing. She studies mathematics. Miguel, who's in our business program studying international business and business analytics, and Mohammed, who studies computer science. You're able to connect with any of these students at any point. You will be sending out mail in the future for you to speak with them. And we have three others, Mubarak from Uzbekistan, Daksh from India, who's studying computer engineering, and Sun, who is studying business analytics and finance as well. So we're very fortunate to have these student ambassadors on our team and very grateful for them. So you'll have the opportunity to speak with them all in the future, but let's get into the bulk of the presentation. I already went over the agenda before. Here it is summarized. We'll have time for questions at the end. I know a lot. I've been at UC for a while, so whatever questions you have or you want to throw at me, I'll do my best to answer them. And I've worked in this role for about 4 years, so some experience there as well. Who is the University of Cincinnati and what do we stand for? We stand for three separate values: tradition, innovation, and excellence. I'll give you an example of each one. Tradition, we are a university that's more than 200 years old, dating back to 1819. As an example, we do have very strong professors who have come through the University of Cincinnati, as well as student alumni. two of our students did eventually graduate and become presidents of the United States. So that's pretty cool. We also had a Supreme Court justice. So if you're interested in law or any programs related to that, a strong program. Innovation. We've had a lot of very significant discoveries at the University of Cincinnati. Its history. That includes discovering the first antihistamine. So that's if anyone has allergies, you have the University of Cincinnati to thank for developing the medicine that treats those. It was called Benadryl. Additionally, the first polio vaccine, the oral polio vaccine, was developed at the University of Cincinnati by Albert Sabin. So that helped to eradicate polio worldwide back in the 1940s. More recent projects include working on research to document the entire RNA sequence. So we have the DNA sequence documented, but we're working on the human RNA sequence, among other things. And excellence. As I mentioned before, we are a Research One university, which essentially means we receive the highest amount of funding from the United States government for research purposes, and we have a very high research output as well. One of our most famous professors was Neil Armstrong. After he retired from NASA, he came and he taught at the University of Cincinnati. I'll give another example. I'm doing my master's in political science right now. One of my professors used to be the ambassador from the United States to Mexico. It's obviously a very important relationship, and he interfaced with the president a lot, and I'm getting to learn from him in class. So, just a couple examples from my own experience. We are a very large university. We have about 53,000 total students located in the city of Cincinnati itself, and we have about 6,200 international students. That does include our full student body, including those who are undergrads, grads, and students on OPT. We do have students coming from across the world to study here, many different countries, and it's a pretty diverse campus as far as when you're walking around, you'll see a lot of people, some who look like you and some who don't. These are our top 15 countries for enrollment. We are expanding in a number of areas as far as our international student population growing, which we're very happy for. But as of right now, these are where most of our students are coming from. All right, so what do we offer you as a University of Cincinnati student? Three things: a degree, a resume, and a plan for your future. So essentially, you'll come in, and when you leave, you'll be very competitive on the job market. That is what we promise you. How do we do that? Well, first, you have to decide what you're going to study. We do have more than 700 different academic programs, 350 at the undergraduate level. So, if there's something that you're interested in studying, we probably have it. A rare exception are courses related to the ocean, just because we're not next to an ocean, so that's a little bit challenging, like marine biology, but anything else, engineering, music, business, architecture, design, computer science, the sciences in general, liberal arts, medicine, law, we have those courses offered as well. If you're not sure what you want to study, we have an exploratory studies program where you'll get academic advising, be able to take a variety of classes during your first year, and then decide at the end of that first year what you want to major in, and you'll get support transitioning into that program. I'll speak a little bit more about student support services in general later on, but just mentioning it now. And then we also have a university honors program. This program is quite selective. It's for students who are interested in entering and doing more outside of the classroom and contributing to the city of Cincinnati, the community, but then also just the um, to global society as well. So, for example, if you are looking to start a company, run a startup, or you're wanting to do research in a particular area, the University Honors Program will help students to achieve those goals. They'll provide additional resources, perhaps funding or advising or mentorship, or connect you with business leaders or anyone else to be able to help complete those projects. There is no separate application for the honors program, but a lot of students will transition into it after their first year and their second year or third year, something like this. Now, why do we have a lot of international students? It's for one main reason above everything else, and that is co-ops and internships. You might not have ever heard of co-ops before, so I will explain it to you. We have the number one ranked co-op program in the country. What does that mean? Essentially, most of our students that are coming here are going to be working for a company, doing something related to their major, and earning money for it as part of their university experience. Now, this is obligatory for many programs. So anyone that's studying business or engineering or design, architecture, it is required. You must do this co-op program. If anyone is in the arts or sciences, like biology or other programs, it's optional. We'll look into it in a little bit more, but for those who are not doing co-op, we also have experiential learning opportunities. So that includes areas such as research, which I touched on before, artistic performances, clinicals for our students who are in pre-med or nursing, as well as lots of opportunities to become a tutor, teach other students, or other on-campus opportunities. But let's continue with co-op. So we do partner with more than 1,500 companies across the world. Some of the most notable companies are shown on the screen here. In my own experience, I worked with three different companies, Crane Aerospace and Electronics, Maverick Molding Company, and a startup company in Argentina that was building satellites. So that was pretty cool to go down and help them work on that project. But I do have classmates that worked at NASA and they graduated and now they work at NASA full time. It is not guaranteed that you will get a job at any of these companies. We can't say, congratulations, you work at Toyota now and just give you a job. However, we do have special partnerships with these companies. We do have a certain expectation of a number of students that they will hire, and we will connect you with recruitment staff from these particular companies. So you'll have the opportunity to meet them, to have interviews, and to present yourself. It is competitive. You'll have to win the job compared to your classmates and compared to students at other universities. But because we're ranked very highly in this, we present a lot of opportunities and a lot of support for students to get these working opportunities. We have a specific college that is just the College of Co-op, and all they do is develop these partnerships and to help you get jobs related to what you're studying. Specifically, there are also staff that are just for international students. So they're aware of a lot of the restrictions that might exist for international students, any difficulties that you might have. So, for example, if you need a security clearance or if there's a company that's not as likely to hire international students compared to domestic students, they're very well aware of that and they will help guide you in the direction of what you're interested in doing with your career and marry that with the companies that would be most likely to help you achieve that goal. So it's just a little bit about co-ops. Last slide. If you have questions, drop them in the chat and I'll be happy to talk about them in the end. These are some example schedules of what co-op looks like. If you divide the year into three separate sections, so we have it listed here as fall, spring, summer, but you can just think 4-month periods. For a given 4-month period, you'll either be in school or working on co-op for a company full time at any moment during your university career. So it's kind of intense. There's not a lot of breaks to go home and visit. Yes, you might have a couple of weeks during December, winter holidays, and you have that first summer break. But in general, most of our students will be working full time or studying full time, and that's it throughout their university career. So a little bit more intense, but it is good for you because one, you'll get work experience. Two, you'll be able to build up your resume to help you get a job when you graduate, or you'll have connections for whoever you've completed your co-ops with. Three, the co-ops pay pretty good salary. I'm not going to show it in this presentation, but you can go onto our website and see specifically for biomedical engineering, how much do our students earn on average? And it will give you a salary of, $10,900 for every co-op period, every 4 months. Um, Engineering tends to pay a bit higher, maybe 12,000, 13,000, 14,000. Business, maybe 10,000, 11,000. And then the arts and sciences, maybe a little bit lower, 8,000, 9,000, something like this. But essentially, as you're going through and completing these co-ops, you'll earn the money to be able to, assuming you get a good scholarship, there's some assumptions here, but to pay for your next semester of school yourself without your parents needing to contribute. So it's really just the first 2 years of school that are very challenging financially. And then after that, once you start working, getting some co-op income coming in, um, that reduces the cost dramatically. So if finances are a concern, this is a very good way to afford education in the United States. All right, if questions in co-op, drop them in the chat. I'll answer at the very end. Let's continue. Let me see. I don't know if Miguel has joined. He was going to be a little bit late. Yeah, don't think he's joined yet, but no matter. If he comes in or whenever he comes in, I'll have him share some of his experiences. Student life at the University of Cincinnati. Let's talk about what it's like to be an international student here. The University of Cincinnati is located in the city of Cincinnati, about in the middle. So it is an urban campus, but there are a lot of green spaces. So there's art throughout campus. Architecture is one of our strongest programs. I've mentioned it a few times, and that essentially just means it's a very beautiful campus. I'd recommend watching YouTube videos and just looking up what is the University of Cincinnati like. And you can see either someone driving around, someone walking around, a campus tour, things like this. Just to give you another idea, as we were looking at the map before, my cat keeps walking from the camera, sorry. Right next to our campus, so this square is our campus for the most part. And then we have our medical campus here as well. Right in between them is this large area called Burnett Woods, and it's entirely a forested park area that's as large as our university. So a lot of students will go there for recreation, to play games, etc. So there's just a lot of nature for the university itself, despite being located in the city. Now, let me go back to the presentation. And I believe Miguel just joined. Hello, Miguel. Would you mind unmuting and introducing yourself for everyone?
Hello. There you go. Hey, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Garcia. I am going into my senior year. I'm majoring in business analytics and national business. And yeah, so excited to see you all in here. So yeah.
Thanks, Miguel. Appreciate that very much. We just got through co-op and we're going into discussing what it's like to be a University of Cincinnati student. This is probably better for you to share than for me. I'll touch on a few brief things. We do have a lot of different student organizations on campus, a lot of festivals. So whether you're looking to do something professional or you're looking more for something uh, extracurricular for fun, we have lots of opportunities for you. I'll touch on one of my favorites and then I'll let Miguel share some of his. So I participated in UC Battleship while I was a student. That is where in our Olympic-sized swimming pool, they put different canoes or boats, and they have about 4 people in each boat. 2 of them have oars to row, 2 of them have buckets to scoop water and throw water. And you try to sink the other boats that are in the pool with you. Super fun. It's actually a league, so you would play one weekend out of a month, and you would go in and you try and throw water in the other boats and sink them. And our team ended up winning the championship over a semester. So things like that you'll probably never experience anywhere else in life. I was also in a cheese club where we sat in a circle and talked about different types of cheese. So just a variety of different things. Miguel, can you share some of your experiences on campus as far as different student organizations?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's like Seth said, there's so many different opportunities that you can, you know, or like clubs that you can be part of and learn different things. I've been a little more to I've done a few of them there for fun, just kind of like hang out meetings, making friends, and some others have been a little more professional. Like I've been able to meet with P&G, great companies, big companies. So it's been a little bit of both. I also like sports. intramurals. Like it's a lot of fun playing soccer with my friends, outside of school, outside of everything, getting to compete with other um, students at the university. Pickleball too, flag football. So yeah, there's so many different opportunities that you can be part of. And I like it. It could be specifically for your major, something that could help you. Um, and there are some other things that you can do outside of it and just for fun. I like to keep a really good balance of a little bit of both so I can keep learning, but at the same time, I want to have fun, make friends. So yeah.
Well said, Miguel. Appreciate that. Living on campus. So, first year students are required to live on campus. After your first year, you'll be able to move off campus into housing or apartments or whatever else you need. But for that first year, you must live on campus. Currently, we have 16 different residence halls for students to live in, and that is expanding. A joke that we have here is that UC stands for under construction, and that just is because we're building lots of infrastructure, new housing, uh, dorms or recreation centers all the time. So there are a couple more being built, but right now the number's at 16. Some of those you'll have the opportunity to live alone in apartment style private housing. Some of them you'll live with roommates in a suite. So maybe 7 people sharing 4 bedrooms and a common living area, something like this. And then there's also traditional style where you're sharing a floor with lots of other people and you share one large bathroom area or kitchen area, and then you're living with 2 people or 3 people in the same room as you. So just a variety of options available. Generally speaking, when you're picking out your housing, you are paying for privacy and for space. So the more expensive options will be on campus, but you'll have a lot of amenities, space, privacy. The least expensive options, you'll be living with more people and having more of a social life. So we do have 4 different dining halls on campus. As you can see here, different coffee shops and cafes, etc. I miss eating food on campus every day because now I go to work every day on campus and I don't have that option. I could pay for it, but I don't. It is very good. There are halal options, vegetarian options, gluten-free options, kosher as well. But there's a variety of foods. They do tend to change it up pretty consistently. And then the recreation center. So this is where a lot of students will go to have fun, to do different intramural activities, like Miguel mentioned before, whether that's um, badminton or basketball or weightlifting, swimming. There's also lots of classes. So I did a taekwondo class. There's a jujitsu class, boxing class. I don't know what they've got nowadays. I'm sure there's plenty of classes going on there. Um, but yeah, a lot of opportunities to get involved, to explore new sports, to have fun, meet people that have the same interests as you. Is there anything you want to add about living on campus, Miguel, or just campus activities that we haven't touched on?
No, yeah, I feel like there's so many things that you can do within your well within your like building. I remembered I ran as vice president for Turner, and they would have we would have like different activities. So you can like get to talk to your neighbor, kind of like make friends. I feel like it's very important to stay on campus because that's where I met my closest friends right now. That's how I, got to be involved in different clubs. How that's kind of like how I got in the major I'm in, by talking to people and kind of like get to know everyone around me. So it is a lot of fun to stay on campus. It's not boring at all. There's always something going on. Um, Dining on campus, it is so convenient. Walking for like 2 minutes and you go to a dining hall across the street or the one on main Center Court, which is in the middle of it. So super convenient too. And the recreation, we call it the rec. Uh, it has so many things, like you said, uh, even if you're in climbing too, or like the pool and stuff like that. I feel like it's a lot of fun to be part of that. Um, but yeah, I stayed in Turner. So if you guys have any questions about Turner or like, the different housing accommodations and the difference what the differences are, um, yeah, just feel free to reach out. Be more than happy to help you out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miguel. Now, I'll touch on student services and we'll get more into the application process and have time for questions. So, beyond you're paying tuition and you're paying tuition to take classes and to have access to all of the, facilities and student organizations and everything else. But beyond that, when you're paying tuition, you also get access to lots of services which exist just to help you. That is the entire point of these offices and of these people working these jobs. It's just to help you. So take advantage of them because later on in life, you might not have these things available to you. Some of them are listed here. As you can see, there's a lot of academic services, and these are individuals who will essentially help make sure that you get good grades, maintain good grades, keep good grades. So a lot of our students that are successful are utilizing these academic services, whether that's helping to sharpen your English or helping you to find a job and improve, career prospects. There's a lot available for you. Also, just in general, being connected on campus and meeting different staff or other students and asking them about their experiences is very useful because it allows you to learn about things you might not know otherwise. An example, we have a pantry which gives away lots of free food, free products like women's health products or sexual health products, and clothes, and it's available for students if they need it or really want it, they can go and get that. If you have an interview and you don't have a suit, you can use a suit for that. If you need a professional photograph, you can get that for free. If you want to rent a bicycle and have a bicycle to ride around the city of Cincinnati, you can rent one, not have to pay for it. You bring it back to the bike kitchen, and that's it. You don't need to pay for that. So there's just a lot of perks or benefits that are included just by being a student. You have access to a psychologist where you can meet with them once a week and not have to pay for that. There's a clinic on campus where you'll be able to go in and use your student health insurance if you have any sort of ailment or injury and get that taken care of there. So I'm not going to go into everything, but just know that as a student, you have lots of different resources available for you at all times. I'll touch on this super briefly, but the University of Cincinnati recently joined a more prestigious athletic conference, and there's also some academic conflation there as well, where we're competing athletically against other schools that include, for example, the University of Colorado, the University of Oklahoma, the University of Utah, Arizona, Arizona State, etc. So larger state schools, we're now joined with them athletically. And then academically, we also will compete with them. So, for example, competitions like It Flies or Bearcat Motorsports, some of those student organizations will compete within the Big 12 conference as well. So it's just a higher level of competition and prestige than previous years. We're super proud of being in this new conference. Safety. This is worth mentioning. So the city of Cincinnati is a city. There are crime incidents that occur throughout it. Generally speaking, Clifton is a very safe neighborhood compared to other neighborhoods. We do have our own University of Cincinnati Police Department, which patrol on campus and then off campus as well. But additionally, there's some different amenities for students who are wanting to take safety more seriously. You can see some of them on the screen here. Night Ride is very convenient. It's kind of like an Uber where a student worker will drive the Night Ride vehicle and take you from one location to another without you having to pay for that at night. Um, what else? So we have a blue light system where there's different blue lights located throughout campus. If you hit the button, a police officer will come there immediately um, on that blue light. And then what am I missing? The Bearcat Guardian app is shown here as well. Generally speaking, on campus, nothing ever happens. Off campus, sometimes there are parties that get a little bit rowdy, but beyond that, the actual neighborhood where the university is located, everyone that's there has some function related to either the university or support services around the universities, restaurants, movie theaters, grocery stores, etc. Right. Our city, let's look at it. So, the city of Cincinnati, Ohio, we looked at it on the map before where it's located. Here's just a quick glance of what it's like to live here. It is one of the most affordable cities to live, which is why we're actually getting, it's a city that's getting a little bit younger year by year, actually, as we're having more college graduates move to the city of Cincinnati than before. So that's nice. And it's mostly for the low cost of living and for the job opportunities. The weather, we have 4 seasons, so it does get a little bit cold and snowy in the winter, it does get a little bit warm, hot in the summer, but then the spring and fall are also nice, more temperate temperatures. Right now, it's pretty nice outside, so that's nice. And we are located on the river, so there's some activities there as well. This past weekend, we had a Red Bull Flugtag, which is where they flew flying machines or attempts at human-powered flight into the river. I don't know. It's a really weird thing that Red Bull does. I'd recommend looking it up. But we had that this past weekend. So there's just lots of events going on all the time. A few more just to share. We have our own professional sports teams, baseball, football, soccer. We have a zoo, an aquarium. There's a unique queen in Cincinnati known as Chili, which I don't know. Yeah, I'm okay. It's okay for me, but the locals here really like it. Um, and then there's just different areas where you can go for either nightlife or to see something new. Um, just a few examples. It's a large enough city that we hosted Club World Cup games this past summer. So Bayern Munich came in, and it was cool to see them play. We had Taylor Swift concert this past year. So just it's a large enough city where you're getting a lot of exposure to big events, but you're not having to pay the prices to live in somewhere like New York City or Los Angeles or Chicago, which is way more expensive. So, anything you want to add, Miguel, about what the city of Cincinnati's like, or any of your experiences living here?
No, yeah, there's a lot that you can see around Cincinnati. I mean, especially this week we have the Cincinnati Open. Um, I went in there yesterday. It was a lot of fun, very interesting, beautiful place. Lots of people from all over the world. So definitely, if you ever get a chance, go check it out. Um, but yeah, like Seth said, I think it is on campus. It is very safe. There's really not a whole lot to worry about. It's a bunch of students. So yeah, nothing you should be scared of. If you ever think at night that something's gone, you know, kind of weird or something like that, there's always, patrols going around, so you can always go and reach out to them. They're very friendly. But yeah, like Finland Market, one of my favorite places to go. They have the open market, oldest market, I think, in the United States. So, um, it is a lot of fun to go. There are like many, going back to the clubs, there are many different clubs that will take you around Cincinnati. So if you ever get to be part of one of them, I'll definitely, I would suggest to join one of those trips and just go around Cincinnati to kind of like check it out. But yeah, like I said, oh, like Seth said, it is a city. It is not that big, but it is also not that small that we have everything. We have football, we have soccer, we have everything that you can think of. Um, and then we would have later on, we would have um, yeah, other sports like hockey, which is a lot of fun. I love going to the hockey games with my friends. Yeah, and the fall's coming up, so this Cincinnati just turns into a beautiful place for the fall. You get to see the different colors in the trees and just go to different parks around Cincinnati. So yeah, I love this place.
Well, thank you so much. One thing I did want to mention before I forget, transit or moving around the city is something that's always a concern. Around the city, around the University of Cincinnati, we do have a shuttle system that takes students basically on a loop to the north of campus, to the west, to the south, to the east, and then also to Blue Ash, which is another part of the city. But recently, as of a couple months ago, all UC students are able to use the Cincinnati Metro system, so the public bus system, for free. So if you see something that's an event that's located here and there's a bus line that goes there, you can take that for free. Just go to the bus stop, get on the bus, and it will take you there. So that's something that we're pretty excited about. Last note, Cincinnati, as I mentioned before, is a city that's mostly known for business opportunities for the broader, United States. That's what they look at the city for. We do have, of the Fortune 500, which are the largest 500 companies in the country, 400 have offices located here, and seven are headquartered in Cincinnati as well. So that's a lot of jobs and opportunities to get started in your particular industry. And of course, we have a very large alumni network that are working at all of these companies that know about the co-op program and that come to us for students to work in co-ops. So just kind of putting a bow on the city there. All right, let's go through the application process quickly, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. Our application process is pretty simple. Um, we just need the common application to be completed online. There is a fee associated with that. So you complete the common application. That allows you to apply to essentially any university in the US. So one, application. Two, we need your high school grades, your transcripts. So submit all of the transcripts that you have. It's okay if you haven't graduated yet or if you're in the middle of taking classes. That's fine. We'll evaluate you with what you have, the grades that you have, and then if you get better grades later on, we'll reevaluate you if you want to be re-reviewed for scholarship. Totally fine. So, grades. Third, English proficiency. We do require students to take a test, whether that's the IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo test, or some others. And you can see well, I'll show you in a minute what results you need in order to be admitted. Some countries and curriculums are eligible for a test of English waiver. If you're studying the IB curriculum or A-level curriculum, you could get a test of English waiver for that as well. We do not require SAT or ACT. We are test optional again for the upcoming year. So three things, super easy. Common application, English test, high school transcripts. If you want to submit anything additional, you are welcome to do so. If you want to submit letters of recommendation or a resume or portfolio or something like this, you can do it. We will look at it. We'll consider it as part of as part of your application, but these are the minimum requirements. This is all we're asking for. What are this English proficiency scores? I mentioned them before. We're looking for a 79 TOEFL, a 6.5 on your IELTS, and a 100 on your Duolingo. Generally speaking, the Duolingo is the easiest to achieve of all of these, but we are also looking for a 100 conversation and 100 production, which can be a little bit more challenging than just the 100 overall. Cost of attendance. Let's go through this. So listed here, there are three vertical columns and then three horizontal rows. If we go looking at the vertical columns, these are the different locations where students can study. So main campus, which is the one we've been looking at, Blue Ash College, which is a regional campus, and Claremont College, which is a regional campus as well. We do not recommend international students to study at the Claremont College, so let's ignore that for now. Blue Ash, let's talk about that briefly. This is a 2-year program, so you could study 2 years here at the Blue Ash College and then transition to the main campus for 2 years. You can see the tuition is a little bit lower. Blue Ash is a much smaller campus. They have about 2,000 students compared to our main campus, which has, I don't know, 40 something thousand. So it is quite a different experience there. You can study at Blue Ash and take a few classes at main campus, but the majority of your classes would need to be at Blue Ash to pay the Blue Ash tuition rate. It is also possible to live in the dorms on main campus, do the student organizations, go to the library, go to the gym, have friends, do everything main campus, and then just take classes at Blue Ash and pay the Blue Ash's tuition. So that's possible. Some students do that, but just letting you know, that's an option. Not all programs are available at Blue Ash, so it's kind of specific to what you're interested in, and you'll be able to see that on the Common Application as well. Okay, now, main campus. Um, let's focus on main campus and let's go through row by row what these numbers are and what they mean. So, tuition and fees, $30,000 per year. It is better to think of this $30,000 per year in terms of the cost per semester. So I say it like that because there might be some years where you're doing multiple co-ops and you're only in school for one semester, or possibly you're not in school for any semesters. So when you're in school, when you are studying classes, you are paying $15,000 to study for that semester. Any scholarships that you receive are a percentage reduction from this tuition amount that you're paying for the semester. So if you get let's say you get a $10,000 per year scholarship or a $15,000 per year scholarship, that's essentially just saying, I'm going to pay 50% or I'm going to pay 66% compared to what the full price is. So that's the best way to think of scholarships. They're just a percentage reduction when you are studying. When you're on co-op, there's a co-op fee, but you are not paying tuition. So you're not paying this full amount. You're working for the company, earning money to be able to save and do whatever you want with it. So that's tuition. Scholarships will come from that. I'll talk about scholarships in a minute, but let's move on. Living expenses. This is a number that comes from the Ohio state government as a expectation of how much it costs to live in the city of Cincinnati. This may or may not be what you actually spend, depending on your own style of living. If we look on our website, um, and we look at, this is 1 year out of date, apologies, but how much it actually costs to live on campus. If you look at the cheapest option, it is $13,500 per year to live on campus with a all-access meal plan. If you look at the most expensive option, a private bathroom, private kitchen on campus, that's 17,300 with the all-access meal plan. So you can see that's not necessarily what the university charges, but it's a little bit less than that. But in general, you can see, okay, if I'm living in Cincinnati for a year, this is about what I'll need to budget, what I'm probably going to spend on rent, food, um, entertainment, transportation, travel, etc. You can spend a lot more than this. You can spend a lot less than this as well. So it does depend on your style of living. That's just a general idea. Health insurance. Health insurance is required. It's mandatory for all students to have studying at the University of Cincinnati. If you do not have an American health insurance from an American company, you will need the University of Cincinnati health insurance. That's $2,400 per year, covers you for the full year. All right. At the bottom is the total. That total number is the most important number. That is what you need to show as proof of savings in order to get your I-20 to come and study at the University of Cincinnati. If you receive scholarships, the scholarships are removed or reduced from this amount. So if you get a $15,000 per year scholarship, you would only need to show $35,000 per year in savings. The idea or the point of this is to make sure you survive at UC and in Cincinnati for at least 1 year and that you don't move here and you're homeless and you don't have food and you're living in the streets. Nobody wants that, not you, not us, certainly not the government. But that's the purpose of that requirement to get the I-20. Happy to answer questions at the end. Throw me all your questions. Scholarships. This that's showing on the screen is from this past year. This is something that will probably be modified for the upcoming year. Can't say anything more about that, but we're hoping to be a little bit more generous. Currently, scholarships range from $1,000 to $15,000 per year, with an average student getting a $10,000 per year scholarship. This is a holistic review based on your application. So you send in your application for computer science, biomedical engineering, international business, whatever. We review you and we say, congratulations, you are admitted to international business, and here is a $10,000 per year scholarship offer. Do you accept? Yes or no? That's the idea of how the scholarship functions. There could be other scholarships. They are not a separate application. Sorry, there could be other scholarships coming through the University of Cincinnati. They're not a separate application. You have one application for everything, so do your best. Um, this might be tweaked slightly. If it is tweaked, it will be more generous, so more scholarship going out. But no more information at the moment. Okay, important dates that you should know. The application is already open if you want to begin here in August 2026. You can apply right now today. My strong, strong, strong recommendation for all of you and whoever else is viewing this video online in the future is to apply by November 1. That's our early action deadline. That is when our most competitive programs will close. That's when the honors program will close. That is when a lot of scholarships, opportunities through the colleges will close. For example, the Lindner College of Business has the business honors and they have scholarships. That will close on this deadline as well. And that's where priority housing. If you want to get the best dorms, that's when that will close. So this is like, that's the main day. Apply by that deadline. If you don't, if you don't, you have until March 1st. So you have a little bit of time afterwards to apply. You'll just miss out on, kind of the best stuff and scholarships. If you do apply by November 1st, you will receive your admissions decisions and scholarship decisions by December 12th. So you will know well in advance what the University of Cincinnati is offering you and what you can have to come here to compare against other universities um, by the end of the year. So again, that's just my recommendation. Apply by November 1st. We are offering a application fee waiver until November 1st. So anyone that wants to apply, please feel free to do so, and you will not have to pay for it. So you might as well shoot your shot. Send in your application, see what you get, what admission decisions, what scholarships, and then work with your territory manager, representative to help you with any questions you might have. Ooh, that's a lot. Connect with us, follow us on social media. You can always reach out to us sending emails as well, and we'll do our best to answer those. Time for questions. I'm a little bit out of breath. I'm hoping that most of these are for you, Miguel. Would you mind moderating the questions for us? Oh, I have some direct messages, so actually
Yeah,
I'm going to start with those,
yeah, I was gonna
just
say
because
yeah.
they're not in the chat for everyone. So I'll try and do that. Okay, here we go. Um, a student said they love aerospace. They're thinking of entering. Very cool major. We do have a number of international students in that program as well. The I have a lot to say about that. I don't want to take everyone's time, but the main restriction to think about for that is just a lot of the co-op opportunities are in the defense sector. So working on things like jets and rockets and missiles. That's a lot of aerospace technology, and that's considered something you need a security clearance for. So you would not be eligible as an F1 student. But a lot of the companies that make subsystems or components that go into those larger systems, so if you're working on developing a pump or landing gear or something like that, you would be able to work for companies working on those subsystems. Um, let's see. Can I ask about the College of Pharmacy at UC in this meeting, as this category wasn't mentioned during selection? Yes, apologies. I did not mention the College of Pharmacy. So that's actually a professional school. So in the United States, we have pre-professional programs, and then we have professional programs. Professional means you need an undergraduate degree, so a bachelor's degree, and then you go to the school for the final terminal degree. So that's things like pharmacy, dentistry, veterinary school, medicine, law. For all of those, you need just a degree, and then you would go to pharmacy school. So to get into pharmacy school, you can actually study anything you want, biology or whatever other program, and then you would apply for pharmacy school afterwards. So that's a little bit beyond the scope of this presentation, which is just focused on undergraduate studies. Next question. Hello, Seth. My relative lives in Cincinnati. Is it possible to live outside of campus for freshman year? Miguel, do you want to take this question? If not, I'm happy to answer it too.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I feel like I would highly recommend if you could make the attempt of just living on campus or at least around campus. It is very important to be really close to your peers and really close to all the activities so you know what's going on and you kind of like know if you ever need any help with any classes or trying to land a job or a co-op, an internship. I think it is very important to be on campus for that. They help you a lot with it. Um, there are like many different options if you want to stay around campus that I would probably look into. If on-campus housing is not really an option for you, but yeah, it just you just get to meet a lot of people, really good friends. Um, Many students who tend to live outside of Cincinnati or like around the area of the University of Cincinnati and around that, tend to miss out a lot on all, you know, the amount of stuff that you're paying, the different resources, different events. So I would highly suggest to look into probably around the campus housing. Um, and yeah, sometimes you can even um, for example, for the first year, you could pay on-campus housing and then apply to become an RA. I feel like that's what a lot of my friends are doing. When you become an RA, um, that is your job, and you just oversee your floor and then kind of like help out other residents, and the university is paying for your housing and food. So I would highly suggest kind of like looking into that, so you don't miss out on being on campus, having friends, attending different meetings, um, and then later on you get to stay in there for free. Well, not for free, like you have your job, but like they pay for all that. So I will probably look into that. If you have any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. You can email me. But yeah.
Great. Great. Thank you, Miguel. Yeah. Um, so first, living on campus is required for first year students unless you get a housing waiver, and it might be possible to live outside of campus with your family if they are in Cincinnati. So that's a possibility. You would just need to apply for the housing waiver, see if it's approved or not. Obviously, that's a huge financial savings, but as Miguel said, living on campus has its benefits too. Next question. Are there scholarship options for international students? I think we discussed that already. Are there work study options in the first year outside of co-ops? So co-ops are the main um, opportunity to earn income, but there are on-campus jobs as well, such as Miguel working as an international student ambassador or the RA position that he mentioned. There are jobs related to, there are academic jobs related to research or being a teaching assistant, tutoring, etc. There's more administrative jobs, which I suppose this would be a more administrative job. And then there are jobs that are more manual or labor based. So working in the gymnasium, working in the cafeteria, or parking services, all of those exist. Okay, on the site, I read that fall intake students typically have more opportunity than spring intake. I want to know in what terms. Yes, fall intake students have more opportunities because, similarly to what we've been saying, they're able to network a bit more, and there's a lot of energy, excitement, and support services directed towards fall intake because it's so much larger than spring intake. So fall intake is probably 10 times larger than spring intake. So it's just because of that, we develop a lot more um, economies of scale where we're providing services for students that are able to take advantage of that compared to the spring. In general, it doesn't really matter because eventually you'll be here in both the spring and the fall regardless. But for that very first semester, we recommend students to start in the fall if they can. Next question. Could you give an idea to the approximate weight or importance admissions officers place on different parts of an applicant's profile? For example, academics versus extracurriculars versus volunteering. Great question. So It is going to depend on what program you're applying for. If you're applying for aerospace engineering, math is very important. Your grades in your math classes are quite pertinent. If you're applying for acting, um, you know, your audition is way more important. But so it is specific to whatever major you're studying. But in general, academics, if I had to say, I would think of it in different buckets where there's the academics bucket, there's an English bucket, there's an extracurriculars bucket, or these different categories. And you're being evaluated based on how well you do in a particular category. And then we're looking across, okay, for all of these different categories, what is how strong is the candidate looking at them holistically, so across the different areas. Um, Essays play into that as well. So um, there you can always having good grades is very important. That's probably the most important out of anything, but you can certainly compensate for that if you have very strong extracurriculars or other areas. So a little bit difficult to answer. We do genuinely complete a holistic review, which means we're looking at everything you send us. Um, but I'd say academics weigh a little bit heavier. Recommended extracurriculars for international engineering students. That's a good question. It depends on what opportunities you have in your school and in your community. We do evaluate students looking at how they uh, how they are able to take advantage of the opportunities presented to them. So there are some students that have all the advantages in the world, and there are other students that have no advantages. Their schools don't offer anything at all. They're coming from a very impoverished background, and we have to decide or compare them on some degree to some level, for limited resources. So my advice is just to do things that demonstrate interest in your particular major or in your particular um, field that you want to go into. So anything that's related to engineering would probably make you a stronger candidate for engineering programs. Next question. Is it necessary to submit English proficiency test scores as an IBDP student taking English language and lit? So depending on what score you get, you have to get a high enough score. And the score varies if it's HL or SL, high level or standard level. Um, Trying to remember the exact number. I think it's five or above for HL and six or above for standard level, but I'm not positive it's on our website. I have to double check that exact number. Next question. I'm interested in interior design and industrial design. Do I need to submit a portfolio if I apply? What should I include in the portfolio? What kind of co-op major for students in these majors? In which companies can these students work? What's the minimum SAT score to be accepted to interior design and industrial design? Okay, portfolio is optional. You do not need to include a portfolio. In the past, they have been required. Now they are not. If you want to submit something, you can send it to us. We'll include it in your application, but it's not required. You can find examples of past portfolios online. If you just look on our website, you can see some of those. What kind of co-ops are available for students in interior design and industrial design? Great question. There are actually a lot of companies that work in both of those fields, and we partner with a lot of them as well. Um, I hate to just send you to the website for everything, but there are legitimately lists of companies that our students work for that you can go and you can see, okay, students are working with these companies doing these jobs, and you can find that. I'm coming from engineering background, so I'm not as familiar with the names of those companies specifically, but they're available. And it's also obligatory. You must do these co-ops working for these companies to graduate. So students definitely work for them. There is no minimum SAT score. We are test optional. Okay, more questions. Is it mandatory to stay on campus during first year? Yes, unless you get a housing waiver for living with family in the area. Two, we are applying for university while in 12th grade. How do we present that in the application? How do we send transcripts from India? Through local school or personally? Good question. We will eventually need them from your school. That is a official transcript. But just for the application, you can send them personally. You can send them yourself. We'll take them in, evaluate you for admissions, and then we just need your officials from your school at some point prior to enrolling. For engineering, is co-op mandatory? Yes. Is SAT required? No, we are test optional. Hey Seth, do I have to submit an English proficiency test if I'm a US citizen living outside America? Great question. The answer is it depends. It depends on where you were educated. So if you're educated in English speaking first language country, so for example, I don't know, Nigeria or New Zealand, you do not need to submit an English proficiency test. If you take a curriculum that is entirely English and it's essentially IB or A levels, and you get a certain score, you would also not need to take a test of English proficiency. However, if you are going to school in, I don't know, Brazil, and you haven't taken an English-based curriculum, then yes, you would need to submit an English proficiency test. Next question. Do you recommend submitting an SAT score for industrial design major? If I don't submit it, will it negatively affect the application? We are test optional. If you do submit the score or not, it's basically, as I said before, we're looking at different categories. We're looking like, okay, this one's strong, this one's a little bit weaker, this one's strong, this one's a little bit weaker. It can help you. Um, it's not supposed to negatively affect you. If you take the test and you don't get a good score, you can just not submit it and we will never see it. Or you can submit it and ask us not to look at it. But in general, it can help you if you have a good score. Next question. Do U.S. citizens studying abroad for their entire education with IIG English qualifications actively studying IBDP, language and lit have to take an English proficiency test? No, so long as you score high enough. And I think I mentioned those scores before. Man, any questions for Miguel? These are a lot of these are a lot of technical questions. Next question. Is there a typical format for high school transcripts, high school profile for schools that do not provide those materials? We see everything. So we're getting documents from all across the world, and there's some that are very unique. Um, I would say there's certainly a typical format. It's based on the curriculum usually. So if there's schools that are following like a CBSE curriculum in India or IBs or A levels or I don't know, German national curriculum. We see all of those as well. And basically just send us what your school gives us. Whatever you have, send it to us. If we need something else, we'll provide you with additional information. Graduate information. This presentation is only for undergraduate students. We will have later presentations for graduate students. Um, I'd recommend specifically looking for graduate presentations from your college of interest, whether that's engineering or arts and sciences, whatever. They will do individual presentations. Next question. For an industrial design application, what are specific things UC especially looks for in the portfolio, IB scores, and supplemental essays? Um, so it's a two-step screening process. It essentially goes through our central admissions. We make sure that you're meeting minimum requirements. We will highlight specific aspects of your application. Then we'll send it to the College of Design to review as well. And they will look more specifically at your portfolio, essays, or anything that's a little bit more personal information. As I mentioned before, it's really holistic, so we are looking at everything. Some things might stand out as being particularly unique or being a very strong test score or a very strong essay. And if that's the case, we will certainly highlight that, and that can help with admissions and possibly scholarship as well. I don't have much more to say about that, but let me know if that didn't answer your question. Next question, is it possible to maintain residence at the campus during the co-op program? Yes, you can. You can stay on campus um, and continue doing a co-op, but obviously your co-op would need to be in the city of Cincinnati because it doesn't make a lot of sense to drive really far away. But yeah, that's possible. Is it possible to apply for multiple courses at the same university through different applications, or is that not allowed? Great question. I might want to pass this off to you, Miguel. Do you know anything about double majoring or a major and a minor? How you do that? I just need a break. If not, I'll answer it
No,
also.
yeah,
But
totally. So, where's the question?
um, can you double major? Is that possible? If so, how do you do it? Can you do a major and a minor? What's that
Yeah,
like?
absolutely. Yeah, so it is going to depend on what you want to double major in. For example, I am a double major. I'm double majoring in international business and business analytics. So it is possible. It is a little easier if you did within the same school. For example, I'm doing it within Linder College of Business. So it's a little bit easier because I have to take a few classes that are really close to um, both degrees. For example, accounting, finance, etc. Now, if you want to do double major, for example, I know a few people who do it in Linder College of Business and the School of Law. Then that would take a little longer. That would take different classes. I would definitely talk to uh, your advisor and see how you can manage the, or like how you can structure your schedule so you can take all the credits required. There's always a minor and there's a certificate. So in minor, it's gonna involve one more advanced class, one or two more classes that are a little more advanced. I believe if it is a major, you have to take three or four. And then a certificate, it is going to be you just got to take one course or two top, and then you can get a certificate. And it could be marketing, it could be, anything you want. So my suggestion would be, depending on what you want to double major, I would definitely talk to my advisor. They know everything about that. So yeah, just schedule a meeting with them. They're super friendly. They're really, really nice. They know what they're doing. I came to my advisor and I was like, hey, I feel like I would like to study business analytics with international business. And they're like, absolutely. Let's figure it out your schedule, and I'm happy with it. So, yeah,
Great. Thank you, Miguel. Appreciate that. Um, just one little note on that as well. It is not a separate application. Apply for just one major, get in, and then talk to your advisor to get your second major. Okay. Next question. Will a good SAT score be accepted by the University of Cincinnati? We'll certainly accept everything that you send us. Uh, your question might be closer to what is a good SAT score, and you can see that on our website. It does depend on the program. Some programs are a lot more competitive, and they give much higher SAT scores on average compared to others, but you can see that information online. I'd say 1400 and above is a strong SAT score, outstanding. 1200 is maybe average or so, and then below that, maybe not as strong. Next question. Is co-op needed for pre-med? Um, so co-op is that's kind of complicated. So pre-med, you can study anything you want before going to medical school. You can study piano or chemical engineering or biology or literally the major medical sciences and then go to medical school. You can study anything. So that's first. Depending on what major you study, some of them prepare you a lot more for medical school than others, which is probably what you should do. But depending on what major you actually pick, co-op may or may not be needed. So, for example, there are some students that want to go to medical school that are studying biomedical engineering. Co-ops are required for biomedical engineering, but they're doing that just in case they don't get into medical school, then they have a backup option to be an engineer in that field. So that's an example. But if you're studying biology, it's optional. If you're studying, I don't know, piano, no, there's nothing like that. Okay. Does applying for interior design or architecture require a portfolio? No, we are optional for portfolios, no portfolios required. What sort of IBDP total is competitive for UC out of 45? Great question. So we At the time that we evaluate students, we typically are going off of predicted scores. And to make, as some students complete it, some don't, we're actually looking out of 42. So we're not looking at the theory of knowledge, the extended essay, uh, or any of that. So I'm going to answer out of 42. 30, I would say is good. 33 is much better. I'd say 33, 34 is probably like where you want to be kind of at minimum to have a very good outcome. Um, Higher 30s like is amazing. Out of 42 again. Uh, if you're in the 20s, that's a little more challenging. Okay, is co-op needed for pre-med? I think I answered this already. I'm a non-US citizen living outside the US, but taking an American diploma. Do I need to take any kind of APs or English proficiency tests? If you're taking the English, an American diploma, you would probably, like, I have to see the transcript, but very, very, very unlikely that you'll need an English proficiency test. You will probably get an English waiver. Um, APs, if you take AP classes, you can get college credit for those. So it's not a requirement, but if you do, it can help. Can you show the email address slide again? Yeah, sorry, I should have done that before. Uh, I'm an American citizen studying in India, and the school is completely English based. Will I be required to submit English proficiency scores? Great question. India is not one of the countries that get an automatic waiver based off of national curriculum. You would have to be doing IB or A levels. Next question. Are there a lot of international communities at UC? Do you have events for cultural festivals? Yeah, I'll um, I'll answer this question and then Miguel can add a little bit to it as well. So yes, I went to an I'm gonna butcher the name, Ugadi Bangadi, I don't remember, Ugadi festival, something like this, that celebrates Telugu culture, so southeastern India. And there were like 800 people there, which was really crazy, super fun. But that's not the only cultural festival and community there as well. Miguel, can you share some of your experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love you see there are like a lot of things that you can do with different people from all over the world. Um, I am an international student from Guatemala, so it is always really nice to have those cultural events and attend different ones. Um, there are different groups that you can be part of. They provide food, which is great. Within Lindner, there is one that I was part of my freshman and sophomore year, and it is ICATS, International Cats. So you can go attend, present. You can present about your country and then get food. So that is a lot of fun. And then big holidays for like different cultures. They're always celebrated on campus. That is another benefit of staying on campus. You can be part of all of them. So yeah, I would definitely, I would say yes. We have a lot of cultural festivals from all over the world. So I would highly recommend go check them out. We also have international. I would say it's like kind of an international fair, right, Seth? Where we have different international students and and they all present about their country and then they'll bring food and everyone gets together and kind of like, you gotta um try a little bit of everything. So it is always nice. And there, of course, there are groups that you can join and be part of. I'm sure you're not going to be the only one here. For example, I thought I would be the only, Latino student, but I was not. So there's always a culture. There's always, a group that you can be part of. And yeah, I would also suggest, trying to attend different meetings and kind of like be part of that. It's always a lot of fun.
Great. Thank you so much, Miguel. And I'll say around the campus as well, there's a lot of ethnic grocery stores, restaurants, etc. So, is co-op needed for pre-med? I think I answered this already. It depends on your major. Pre-med, you can study anything. What are expectations from an impactful personal statement, and what do you look for in supplemental essays? So, two separate questions. Oh, I hold on. Okay, yeah, sorry, let me answer that. Quite, so it depends. Again, basically what we're looking for is something that's unique, but in a good way. So you might imagine we're getting tens of thousands of applications. It's a lot. And we're reviewing students and we're doing our best to uh, take our time with every single individual student and make sure that their story is represented and that we're giving them the time and space that they need to show that they'll be an impactful University of Cincinnati student. However, reviewing so many applications takes a lot of time, and you can imagine what that is like going through a lot of them. So the ones that tend to stand out are ones that are um, personal in the sense that nobody else could write them. They're very unique and individual. And I'll give one example of one that I remember. It's a student that was interested in musical theater program, but she talked about it through the lens of having curly hair and how that was somewhat unique where she grew up, as a lot of people had straight hair. And that was something that influenced her. And one, she felt one way about it at one point in her life, a different way at a different point of her life, but just kind of showed how she grew and matured. And throughout that, she also talked about musical theater in general. Um, so it was just cool kind of seeing how she grew as a person, who she was, something about her identity, something about her interests. And it stuck with me because, that's not an essay that I could write, and that's not an essay that a lot of people could write. Um, and she just had details that made it very unique. So something like that can help. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a tragedy or a great achievement or anything else. It could be, but really what we're just looking for is uniqueness, or something that demonstrates your interest in the program or the city or something that makes it memorable or stand out compared to the rest. All right. Last note for everyone. I've gotten a few messages, but I think that's the end of the question. Nope, one more question. Um, so I did have someone who gave me a compliment on my pronunciation of Ugadi, and I wanted to share. I did learn a little bit of Telugu for this festival, so hopefully this is better. But Itkirikiraurum Ankuchala Anundunga Undi. So that was my Telugu for the moment. Um, and now it's captured in history. We're recording. Woo. Last question. If we have extenuating circumstances such as family members passing, uh, how impactful, how extenuating is that? Definitely something worth mentioning, especially if it impacted your grades negatively and you had a dip. You can explain that, and that's something that we'll take into effect when reviewing your application. So if there's any sort of additional context you want to provide, feel free to do so. Whew. All right. Thank you everyone for bearing with me. I know it was a supposed to be an hour-long presentation, but I went a bit over with the questions. I think we did like 30 or 40 minutes of questions, but it was a lot of fun. I'm happy that you all have so much interest and appreciate your time. If there's anything else that you need from me or from Miguel, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to see you here in Cincinnati. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Miguel.